A new report out shows that former President Donald Trump knew that there was no election fraud, but continued to lie about it anyway. Yeah, because of course. Now, this comes from the Washington Post, who reported that Trump had actually hired a research firm right after the election to investigate election fraud. Now, that firm, unsurprisingly, found a total of nothing. Just a whole lot of nothing. Nothing at all.
My.
Yeah. Big surprise, right? So now when they told Donald Trump about this, he was like, no, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. We had massive fraud, the greatest theft ever. There's no way Joe Biden had won. And so look, he went and suppressed it because it didn't say what he wanted it to say. So now, more details about this. The Berkeley Research Group was hired by the former president in his campaign, and they had gathered a team, the best team, the greatest team, of about a half dozen people to look into this alleged voter fraud and irregularities in 6 states. The researchers say that they had looked at everything. One source told the Post, quote, literally anything you could think of. Voter turnout anomalies, date of birth anomalies, whether dead people voted. If there was anything under the sun that could be thought of, they looked at it. They did. And look, by the way, they did find anomalies. Sure. Now, they said that, though, those anomalies existed on both sides. Quote, just like any election, there are always errors, omissions, and irregularities. But it was nowhere near close enough to what they wanted to prove. And it actually went in both directions. Fun. So, as I said before, when they briefed Trump, as well as his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and others on a conference call, on the last days of 2020, the call reportedly became contentious. He no likey. And by the way, neither did Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy also reportedly said, no, I don't believe it. Trump won. You're lying. So, at the end of the day, the Trump administration, the campaign buries the report, and we find out about it just, that's why we find out about it just recently. And so, look, he buries the report and then goes out and lies and tells people, incites people to do January 6th to gather at the Capitol, which led, of course, to the riot and insurrection. And to this day, he continues to cry about it while putting the donor money in his pocket. So what do I mean by that? Well, look, these two things are related, right? So for one, he already knew. Of course he already knew. There was no voter fraud. There was no election fraud. Joe Biden won legitimately. Okay? I know. That seems to be a radical statement whenever you're talking to a Republican. Who's like, no! 60 court cases, dude. His own team found nothing. Cyber ninjas found nothing. Come on. When will you accept it? I know. When it comes to them.
Can't let that happen.
Nope. No, can't accept it. Can't accept it. But the thing is that there's a reason that Donald Trump continued to perpetuate that lie. For one, he wanted to be put back in power. Of course, he has authoritarian tendencies. The other reason is, as you're about to see, from the day he left office through the end of last year, the former president's various political committees actually spent $905,570 at Trump properties. This is according to a HuffPost analysis of new Federal Election Commission filings. Oh, so that's near $1 million spent at his properties. That goes into Donald Trump's pocket, of course. So now he raised that money to challenge the election. We're gonna expose Joe Biden's fraudulent election, and I'm going to be reinstated. I'm going to be put back into power, into my rightful place as your president of the United States. No. What happened is, again, he just raised his money, lied his ass off. Oh, he even said he was going to fund, to Georgia Senate races, which he did not. And he barely spent any money supporting any other Republican candidates during the last midterm. He raised all this money and instead spent it on his own properties. That's it. I mean, look, that's the reason. That's the reason. And by the way, yes, it's very important to point out that he had got that report prior to January 6th. So it's not like he, did the rally, and then afterwards it's like, oh, golly gee, what do you know? I didn't know. Oh, that there was that turns out my own team did not find any electorate. No, he knew beforehand. And he disregarded it and said, I don't care. We're going to go to the Capitol anyway. So that's, again, very important here. Look, as far as screwing over his own voters and lying to them, of course, look, he doesn't care. They're marks. That's all they are to him. Useful idiots. This is nothing more than a giant grift. Whether to keep him into power to avoid any sort of accountability, which I'm even cynical that there is going to be any accountability coming for Donald Trump anyway in these investigations. But also to siphon as much money as possible that he can from people. And again, that's something that Donald Trump has always done. He has always been a gigantic grifter, siphoning money anywhere that he can get it. Now, that's not somebody, I don't know, maybe, I do hear the argument that's like, oh, no, say no billionaires will do that. Are you sure? How do people get to be billionaires? When they screw over people. Now, of course, other billionaires have done it in, I guess, more to the rich, socially acceptable ways. Although there is really no acceptable way, but among those elite circles, you see, I created a vulture capital business, and of course, I acquired it, I liquidated all the assets, and I fired everyone, and before loading, of course, a whole bunch of debt onto this company, and, that's how I got incredibly wealthy, even more wealthy. And that's not what Trump does. He does it in less sophisticated ways. But it's still at the same time ripping people off and destroying people's livelihoods. It's just in a different way. But again, that's what he does. Rips people off. And whether or not he's a billionaire, and I don't believe he is because he's such a numbskull, an idiot. Not exactly the smartest person.
You idiot.
He's just bad at business. Aside from all of that, he's just bad at business. But the good thing he is, the thing he is good at, is doing cons and robbing people, his own supporters.